Hello, everyone. I'm excited to introduce our guest for today's LinkedIn Live, Karen Mangia. Karen is the President and Chief Strategy Officer of the Engineered Innovation Group and a certified executive coach. She has consulted Fortune 1000 companies, led impactful customer experience initiatives, and received Forrester's prestigious Voice of Customer Award. Additionally, Karen hosts this popular podcast, Success from Anywhere, and is the author of 5 books including the Wall Street Journal's bestseller Success from Anywhere. Wow, that's an impressive resume, Karen. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Right, so let's jump into the questions. You have a remarkable career, right? Like with roles at Salesforce, Cisco, AT&T, and now the Engineered Innovation Group. Can you tell us a little bit more about your professional journey?
Yes, in my career, creating value for customers has always been the focal point of each of the jobs that I've held. They've just taken different forms. The other aspect of what I've had the opportunity to do throughout the course of my career is to see the technology stack from lots of different perspectives. When you think about AT&T, it was learning about the network, and at Cisco, learning about the hardware, and at Salesforce, learning about the cloud and about artificial intelligence. And now at the Engineered Innovation Group, we build and deploy digital products for organizations. So all aspects of that network experience are relevant. And when I think about staying close to customers, I've done sales and sales leadership, channels, and also focused on partner experience and customer experience, as well as market strategy and thought leadership. And what that really comes down to, from my perspective, is understanding how to create value for everyone who's involved in coming together to support your customer and help that customer realize a return on their investment with their engagement or purchase or contract with your organization.
Beautiful. That's super. Uh, can you you've obviously helped many companies with their GTM success, right? And from Fortune 550 companies to high growth startups now at EIG. So for our listeners, right, how do you break down the difference between a startup which is on the 0 to 1 journey and organization on the 1 to 10 and companies which are on 10 to 100 or 100 plus, right? Like, what are the different gears and what are the different motions?
Each phase of growing a business is a little bit different. And when I think about the first phase of that journey, if you're just starting a business or if you're a solopreneur right now with aspirations to expand, the activity is about having a hypothesis that you can test in the market. At Engineered Innovation Group, when our founder and CEO, Jake Miller, started the company, his hypothesis was that he could help startups build their minimum viable products. So that first version of your software or technology in order to get to market more quickly. And when you think about the trade-off decision a startup faces of build versus buy, or in this case, hire people, right? Hire your own product team versus acquire that skill set. He tested that hypothesis and found it to be true. And so I think about that starting stage of your journey as something you think that you could sell that someone would be willing to pay for, and finding out if that's true or not. And in the beginning, it's in a way about acquiring business at all costs. It's bringing in cash. It's bringing in customers. It's getting some experience. The next stage on that journey is understanding profitable growth. So now you have to understand, can we make a margin doing this business? And how does our hypothesis need to evolve? So in our case, we understood that the concept behind a minimum viable product really is someone has an idea and they want to be able to implement it. Well, that's relevant to mid-market and enterprise size organizations as well. Very often, their situation is different. They're spending a lot of time and effort running the business on a day-to-day basis. And sometimes innovation is something they struggle to get to, or have enough people maybe that have the skills they need to bring an idea to market or to test something out. And that's where we come in. So as we went into the profitable growth journey and understanding how what we built in the first phase could be relevant to a bigger or different audience, we evolved how we told our story. We evolved our offers. We evolved who we were talking to. And now what we think about is also, as we've gotten into this journey of being an organization with more than 30 people, operational excellence. You do need a few processes for how you quote something. You need some processes for how you build and bring that technology to market. You need some operating principles and architecture review boards that really govern making sure that we standardize, because inside of any business, standardization helps you be efficient. It helps you take cost out of the business so that you can spend your time, energy, effort on creating value and profitable growth.
Sure. Thanks, Karen. And just going deeper into that, right? Like it's in a way a services business, right? And you're offering services to startups, right?
And
How
mid-markets and enterprises, yes.
enterprises now. Uh, it's a tough business because it's always like, hey, I get 10 of these emails every day. There's no product. How do I trust one versus the other? How do you break through that trust deficit on the service side? And what is the GTM motion which has worked for you guys?
Our number one source of business is relationships and referrals.
Right.
Our business comes from people who we know and have known in our networks throughout the years, and also from speaking at events where we're talking about, for example, frameworks to evaluate AI.
Right.
You know, something that shows a deeper thought process behind how we think about deploying emerging technologies and helping other people do the same. Those and referrals from existing clients and repeat business from existing clients becomes the basis for us of how we get a seat at the table to have a conversation about what we can deliver.
Mhm.
We are also thoughtful about what we release and put out in the form of frameworks and thought leaderships and perspective about the topics that people care about now. Everybody wants to understand, is AI real? And if it is, how do I deploy it safely and securely inside of my organization? What could I pilot? What kind of results could I expect? How far, how fast could I go? And so we focus our efforts in outreach on areas where we believe we can help people create value or solve a problem. For example, there was a very recent study that came out from TechPoint, which studies tech trends, tech talent, that shows that 47% of executives are deploying AI to improve productivity.
Right.
Well, that's an excellent entry point for us to share some use cases of how we have helped other organizations get more productive using the technology that we build and deploy for them. It also means that we talk about, especially inside of bigger organizations, helping people get curious and build a plan of what we could pilot so that the organization can evaluate whether the technology is ready to support and deliver the outcomes they're trying to achieve. And if not, we help them create an alternate roadmap and path so that you don't spend a lot of time and money and effort with nothing to show for it.
Right. No, that makes sense. And so this referral thing, right? Like, which is the basis of growth. Do you have any like program around it? One of our prior guests talked about how they bring in their customers and their potential customers into an event and let the current customers do all the talking and selling on their behalf. So do you have something like that? Like, how do you have a method to this referral program, a framework?
We think about the work that we do in 3 phases. So the first phase is plan and pilot. We have a number of organizations that will come to us and say, we have an idea. We think this idea has market relevance and we could sell more, or we could deploy something that maybe helps us spend less as an organization or improve the experience. Could you get engaged with us? Because we have deep expertise, for example, in the healthcare vertical and in data science. Could you come in and take our use cases and help us evaluate who are our competitors? How differentiated are we in the market? How much time, energy, effort, and resources would we have to invest to get to results? How could this be milestones? And now build us an architecture roadmap and a quantitative estimate that shows us every feature, what it would cost to build it, and maybe even go as far as building a proof of concept and a clickable prototype so we can see, experience, and feel what this would really be like before we go do it. And what we find out is in those engagements, very frequently they convert into actually building and deploying that idea on behalf of the organization, because we get to know each other, we get to know their tech stack, we can make very fine-tuned recommendations, and the team that works with you in that plan and pilot and proof of concept phase is the same team that continues on with you to build the product. So you already have gotten to know the people, and to your point earlier, have built trust. And then we also offer ongoing maintenance and support and site reliability. So if you want us to support and monitor and continue to enhance what it is we've built for you, we offer that as well. And we find very often inside of larger organizations, they're very happy to outsource that and have the person who built it go on and support it so that they can focus on the core of their business.
Right. And Karen, you said you have a lot of people coming in. How are they coming in? How are they finding you?
As I said before, our number one source of business is relationships and referrals. So imagine tomorrow that you and I have had such a compelling conversation and someone contacts you and says, I'm thinking about AI. It is my sincere hope that you will join that relationship and referral network and say to them, I know a company. Right. I just talked with this amazing person yesterday with a brilliant team of resources behind her. You've got to know her. That's how our business happens.
Love the passion.
We also introduced a referral program. So we actually have formalized a program now where we offer some incentives to a select set of referral partners, and they get paid a fee for any qualified leads that become contracted deals. So we have introduced a formal referral partner program as well to help incent people to join the massive movement of relationships and referrals that fuel our business.
And what is the range of the referral percentage? Like, is it a percentage of revenue? Is this
once you sign a non-disclosure agreement? I'd be thrilled to take you through all of that information. Here's what I think about. If someone who's in your listening audience, and I think this is perhaps more relevant to the conversation, is thinking about as a strategy to grow your business, might a referral program be a great fit for you? And I would take you back to the concept of profitable growth. So it's critically important when you're growing a business at the stage that we're talking about, in that 0 to 1 and 1 up to $10 million range, to assess what is your profit margin and what do you need to run a profitable business, and what percentage of that, relative perhaps to what you might pay a salesperson or pay in commissions, could you give in order to get and still have profitable growth. And what we're finding is our best referral partners are people who operate in adjacent businesses. So for example, it could be a company that works on helping people do market research about how viable their business is. And then they don't go on to actually build it. They're just really great at helping you understand the total addressable market opportunity that's out there and how to position yourselves to succeed. Well, what's great is they get deep into the discovery process, and then they'd like to add more value to their clients. So we base our tiers of our referral partner program based on which part of that deal cycle they refer into. It's very different if it's just somebody that wants to build a proof of concept and we never do anything else, versus if they do a full product build with us. So we tier it based on, which stage of that life cycle that they're in. And if anyone listening wants to consider becoming a referral partner, I'd be happy to have a follow-up conversation following the broadcast.
We might be, Karen.
Wonderful.
We are going pretty fast, and we are on the go-to-market side. So, once you build the product, you obviously want to sell it. And so we help you get qualified pipeline and close sales.
That is a great business to be in. Everybody wants to sell more, right?
Right, exactly. That's what we are finding out right now. So moving on, right? 7 years at Salesforce, eventually moving on as a VP of Customer and Market Insights. There's so much to absorb from there. Would love to know this Customer and Market Insights role, how did it impact ARR growth, and how successful were you in terms of numbers?
We were wildly successful. And here's what I mean by that. When we thought about listening to customers, creating deeper customer engagement, and understanding how to make Salesforce a truly trusted partner in growing their organizations and creating success for them and for the organizations they served, there were several aspects of how we engaged to listen and take action on what we heard that proved out into real results. The first one is we incorporated the way that we listened to customers at every level into how we prioritized the features that would go into each roadmap release. And we directly correlated and messaged back to customers what they asked for and what came out in each one of those roadmap releases. So we used it as a source of, sometimes we lost deals, of course, because there were feature gaps. Sometimes we were able to win deals or go get new clients because of what we prioritized building or getting more from, the existing customers that we had. And so being able to directly tie something that a customer wants into a specific roadmap release and share back with them, we heard you, it's here, is a very powerful way to grow the business. Second is expanding the way that we thought about our build versus buy model when it came to the product roadmap. So if you look at the period of time in those 7 years that I was at Salesforce, Salesforce purchased companies like MuleSoft, Tableau, Slack, big organizations to fill some gaps in our roadmap. Those are some of many. There were some smaller acquisitions as well. And when we thought about how to be strategic to our clients, sometimes what they would say is, I wish you would just buy fill in the blank company. And so we partnered closely with our M&A team to share that information, share those insights. And it became a key input into some of the companies that we decided to invest in as an organization and also to acquire. And then the third piece, I think this is particularly powerful, is we would do a roadshow and go all over the world as we were setting the priorities for the coming year. And we would do the equivalent of a hackathon, except on a vision and mission and priorities. And we would ask our customers at every level, from admins and developers all the way up through buyers, influencers, and the C-suite, what we were missing and how we might reprioritize to reflect what mattered most to them. And that became a very effective activity in co-creating what success looked like for and with our customers, and really fueled a substantial amount of business growth because at the end of the day, we all feel greater ownership of what we helped to create.
Amazing. This roadshow meant like you were actually visiting customer sites or you were doing events and
we would go to a central location, but we would go to 10 to 12 sites, all over the world, and gather a strategic group together. And it would be about a half-day event or so. And our senior executives as well would come and participate to hear that feedback directly. So we would share our plan and ask them for feedback and changes and reprioritization. And it was a great activity for listening and understanding, realizing what we were missing, and really seeing our business through the eyes of our customers.
Right. And this half-a-day event, they were like, let's say, X number of customers who were all together in this room with like each other and sharing insights about Salesforce.
Yes, and they were looking at our plan for the year.
Right.
And saying, we don't care about this, take it off. Number 1 should be number 12. Number 12 should be number 3, right? Reprioritizing where we were going to focus, adding things we might be missing, and letting us know what mattered most that we needed to adjust.
Wow. Amazing. This is like extreme customer focus. Love it. What about Cisco? Like, how is Salesforce different from Cisco? Like, you're doing a similar role out there.
It's like asking, how is India different than the United States? They couldn't be more different.
All right.
Now, I mean, when you think about it, they're focused on different parts of the tech stack, although Cisco is moving more into the cloud space and not relying, of course, entirely on hardware to be able to grow the business. When I think about the life cycle that those businesses were in when I joined them, they were at very different places. Cisco, I started in 2005. So they were going for growth again, coming out of the 2001 era where businesses struggled. And so they were starting to grow the business and make a few acquisitions and expand the portfolio. And I was there through, that time of plateau and then starting that decline and trying to really refresh the business model. And so the activity of thinking about engaging customers and what was strategic and what mattered there was really two parts. Inside of the business, it was about operational excellence and productivity, doing more with less. And with regard to customer engagement, it was about selling more across the portfolio and making sure that you retained the critical clients that you had. The other really important difference between those two organizations is over 80% of Cisco's business goes through resale channel partners. So there's someone sitting between you, the enterprise manufacturing company, as it were, and the end user customer. So there's a more complex value chain there, whereas Salesforce, right, sells directly to that end user client. And while there are implementation partners, the business model is different between those two organizations. So it just means that what it means to create loyal repeat customers and sell across the portfolio looks different.
Right.
Also at Salesforce, they were bringing a lot more new products to market more quickly, services to market more quickly than Cisco was in a more, mature portfolio. And so inside of Cisco, the activity was understanding how to get earlier alerts where we had retention risk and also being able to understand competitive intelligence, do closed loop follow-up on feedback that we received, and then also test some new products and services before those came to market, and also incorporate that critical understanding of partner profitability to make sure that the people sitting between us and the customers were profitable and that they were loyal as well, because they could represent other organizations and other competitors, and we wanted to be their preferential organization when they were in front of customers.
Sure.
At Salesforce, the activity was on growth. I mean, sheer growth. Salesforce was on a rocket ship. When I started, we had 17,500 employees. By the time I left, I believe it was coming up on 65,000. So that growth climb is a very different activity than a mature organization. They're also operating in different parts of the tech stack. So because of that, different go-to-market strategies and different market signals matter inside of those customer listening and customer advocacy activities.
Great. And coming to the engineering innovation group, what did you have to unlearn from working at big organizations to coming here and starting on a very early stage startup?
My mindset coming into the startup was nothing that I have done before will work here. You have to create a new playbook.
Right.
And I think for anyone coming out of a big enterprise into a startup, you need to resist the urge to try to repeat what made you successful in the past, because the context is so fundamentally different. So my mindset was about being curious. My mindset is about creation. My mindset is about coaching, because this is about building a new playbook. This is about building growth in a very different context. And this is also about understanding that there are fewer checks and balances. At Cisco or at Salesforce, if our team had an idea or we wanted to try something, there were lots of people who needed to approve that before you could ever go forward and execute or pilot something.
Sure.
Inside of a startup, I could walk into our office today and say, I think that what we need to do is start selling bagels and open a sandwich shop. And this afternoon, we could have a name, we could have a menu, the team could design it. There's no checks and balances outside of now we have a board of directors to say, stop for a minute. Does this make sense? And so for better, going fast is sort of for better or for worse, right? You can move more quickly, and sometimes it's not great that you can move more quickly.
Right. And that innovation or agility, right? Has that led to some things which are more satisfying? You can move faster, you can create more impact. Personally, how does that impact you on a day-to-day basis?
I love it. I love the opportunity to create the playbook and to be able to very quickly test whether that play will be effective or not. And it's easier to do that in small increments here and assess what worked, what didn't work, and then keep moving. You can iterate very quickly. And what I find is that means that when we identify an opportunity to create value for a customer or to put our services into a different configuration, we can very quickly implement that and still run a profitable business. So when we have a conversation with a prospect, for example, or with a current client and they want something that we haven't done before, it is very quick and easy to assess, can our team talent support this? Can our financial models support us doing this successfully? And then let's propose it. And that might be one day's worth of work to get through that entire assessment. In an enterprise organization, that would be months of work and committees and sign-offs and debates with finance and lots of politics. And we're very free of all of that in this context.
Great. And saving the best for last, Karen, can we talk about your book, Doing More with Less, right? Like you had some personal experiences, and can you talk a little bit more about what made you write the book and what's there in it? Would love to know your perspective.
It might surprise you to discover, looking at me now, that there was a point in time where I had a major medical crisis, and medical misdiagnosis for 3.5 years led me on a journey where I gained 55 pounds, did not have a baby. My hair fell out, my skin turned gray, and my eyes actually changed to a different color. And nobody knew what was wrong with me.
So sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And along that journey of being medically misdiagnosed for 3.5 years, I never missed a single hour of work for being sick. That sounds crazy, doesn't it?
Totally does.
And yet I did that because that's what I thought successful people do, that they say yes and they keep working and striving and trying. And what I discovered was in that time, a different formula for success, that it's truly not successful if you have your career and you don't have your health and your relationships. And so that became a powerful turning point for me of really understanding what matters and where to put my best time, energy, and effort. And that was the inspiration for my first book. I'm often asked, what did I have? Because people want to make sure they don't catch it. I had DDT pesticide poisoning. So I actually had poison going through my whole body. It took about 5 years of treatments after that correct diagnosis to get to a completely clean bill of health. And that inspired me to share my journey because I see so many people sacrificing their health and their relationships and their quality of life for a career or for work. And what I discover along the way as I share my story with people and share a new strategy for success is that people resonate with feeling and having permission to choose themselves and their health and well-being as the most important goal.
And so how do you do more with less? That's a fascinating story. Like, how do you create that balance? Like, especially when you're a startup right now, right? Which is, it seems like a 24/7 grind.
Yeah.
How do you manage that health and relationships on one side and the 24/7 treadmill on the other side?
It's all about understanding your top value or values and how those show up in your everyday life. So, for example, if I said to you, my top value is being healthy, that means that every day I need to understand, no matter how busy this startup is, how can I incorporate my health into my everyday journey? For me, that means I start my day every day with meditation and some yoga, and I have exercise time on my calendar, and I choose healthy foods, and I drink a certain amount of water every day. And then I know my health shows up every day in my life. It also means when you know your top value, you understand what you're willing to say yes to and what you're willing to say no to. The other thing I find is I have 3 challenge questions and a bonus question that I apply to looking at my calendar and at my to-do list. So what I ask is, does it have to be? Does it have to be me? Does it have to be me right now? And bonus question, does it have to be a meeting? And I find those questions help me discern what is most important. because every meeting and every item on my to-do list is not equally important.
Sure. Beautiful. No, Karen, that itself is a topic in itself. Uh, Thank you so much for sharing at least the summary of that. Really enjoyed the conversation. We are coming at the 30-minute mark. So thank you, Karen. Love the insights, especially about the Salesforce Roadshow, your personal journey and the book, and what you're doing at the startup with the referral program. Uh, Great insights.
Thank you so much. Great to be with all of you.
Thank you.